We have Imtiaz Ali today, and as Shakti has just told us, he's made 5 films that have had critical success as well as box office success, which is a very rare thing. So, Imtiaz, I'm going to ask you your first question. Are you now worried about the law of averages and that, or do you think you should just have a flop and get over with it?
In fact, I think the law of averages is in my favor. After making 5 bad films, I'll finally start making good ones. And it'll all be balanced out.
I don't think anybody here would agree with that.
Maybe they would, yeah. They're not here to come and criticize me. They'll all say good things right now. But in their hearts, perhaps they feel otherwise.
Okay. You go to the other extreme of being modest, I must say. But never mind.
It's a good way to get off the hook.
That's too. Okay, Imtiaz, we've had, this is a question I've asked you several times in past interviews about journeys and your fascination for journeys, literal as well as, metaphorical. So, and in my last interview with you, you said that what you like about journeys is that when you're on a journey, you can be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
You can be whatever you want to be. So, what I want to ask you is that on your journeys that you do, when you're not shooting, who are you?
I'm happier when not too many people recognize me.
Okay.
Now, because of you and your people like you, even directors have become known faces.
True.
So then, the only problem with that is, and nobody minds being recognized or being popular, but the only problem with that is then you are forced to be that person that they think you are.
True.
Which is Imtiaz Ali, director, and oh, Aapki Jab Bhi Met and all that, which is great. That's my bread and butter. But if that is not there, there's nothing to remind me of who I am, then I actually lapse out and become anybody.
Okay.
Chiefly, it is dictated by the place that I am and the kind of people that there are over there. And it could be anything. When I was younger, I used to deliberately play these games of pretending on, let's say, Gitanjali Express going to Calcutta, that I'm actually a Secret Service guy. And I don't say that to people, but I construct an image of myself as though I'm a Secret Service guy, or the fact that, or that I'm a novelist.
Right.
Who's doing some very explosive series of writing for something, and it really is going to make a difference to the country. But now it's not so much like that. Now I usually am somebody who is not a profession.
Okay.
Who is not a name or a type. It is just something. It's difficult to explain that.
No, I understand that. But so given a choice, who would you like to be? You would still like to be able to do the novelist Secret Service thing? If you could?
No, I'd also like to be a farmer, let's say.
Okay.
That was my secret desire. Every time my father punished me while in childhood, me and my brother would conspire to run away and become farmers. So that is a dissatisfied desire in me.
Yes.
So yeah, so now it's more earthy things like farmer, or truck mechanic, things like that.
Okay. You insist on writing your own films, and I think you recently said you would not make a film that was written by somebody else. So when you write your own films, there must be lots of films that get started but don't actually go forward.
Sure.
And so 2 things. 1, what is your using to not using ratio of stories that you write? And 2, how do you know this is the one that I want to actually make?
Answering the second question first, you instinctively feel that this is the one that I want to make for no other reason but that I want to make it.
Okay.
I am thinking about it all the time. Whoever I meet and whatever I'm talking about, I'm finding excuses to talk about my story. So then you just feel that you can't not be in this world.
Right.
And at one point of time, I feel that let me just write it down. And so I write it down, and then I try to convince people to come together and make that movie.
Okay.
It's not a deliberate choice.
Okay.
It's a compulsion. And then you try, and then you try, and then sometimes it doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and there are, you start seeing signs that it's not happening. It's not gathering momentum. Something else is gathering momentum. And then that gathers so much momentum that you start living and breathing that, and this one is gone, so you go with that, and perhaps that happens. So you just, but I feel that although sometimes I feel that it is excruciating, but you pour yourself into whatever it is that is in front of you completely, thinking and knowing fully well that this is what is going to happen and this is my life right now.
Okay.
Till you decide that, oh, my life is that.
Right.
For instance, all of these stories, Socha Na Tha I suddenly wrote. Before that, I was trying to make Highway.
Before Socha Na Tha?
Before Socha Na Tha.
Okay.
I remember that the first person who actually thought that I should I will make a film is Mahesh Bhatt, who called me and he said, I saw one episode of your Imtihan, it's damn good. You are making my next feature film. Okay, bye, I don't have time for you. So I went down, and there were no mobile phones at that time. He had, I didn't, because of poverty. So then I called him and I said, excuse me, sorry, Bhatt Sahab, this is Imtiaz, but I didn't understand. Are you saying that I'm going to direct a movie for your company? And he says, ha 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 ha, beta, this is the beginning, you will learn. So then I said, okay. So then I didn't know what the hell to do. So I used to call him. Sometimes he'd cut my phone. And sometimes he would have 1 hour conversations with me about nothing. So I said, bada pagal aadmi hai yaar, ye to matlab, how do I get past? I said, so what's the story? He said, I'll give you a story, you work on the story and you direct the film. I said, what's the story? He said, you know what? I look at you now and what are you? You're nothing. You've made some TV serials and all that. You want to make a movie. Who's going to have you make a movie? Because you're worth nothing, you're nothing. And me, I'm such a I'm Mahesh Bhatt. I'm a celebrated film director. Like, people are paying lots of money to me to make a movie. But the point is, when I look at you, I feel jealous. Because I feel that you're starting out, you've got something which I know I've lost. Make a movie on this. So then I started working on it. 9 months went by, didn't happen. Never happened. And then I said to Bhatt Sahab that, you know what, Bhatt Sahab, I'm now bored of this story. I don't want to tell this story to anybody. How am I going to endure? So again he goes, ha ha ha, tu bhi pagal hai. You will live your destiny and God help you. Okay. He's the only one who understood me, but at that point of time. Then I've been in touch with him. Anyway, so then that was the beginning.
Okay.
And but after that, I was trying to make Highway. Didn't happen. Then Socha Na Tha I wrote and suddenly happened. I wrote it for television.
Happened as film.
Happened as a film because the television slot that I had written for closed.
Yeah.
And then again after that I was trying to make Highway, but Socha Na Tha, while Socha Na Tha was happening, I was writing new stories because I had to fill in the time. It took 3 years.
Yes.
I didn't Jab We Met. Again, then I started hawking Jab We Met. That didn't happen. Then Rockstar I wrote. Then hawking it. That didn't happen. Suddenly Jab We Met happened. I was thinking of making Jab We Met with Bobby first. Deol.
Yeah.
Anyway, that didn't materialize. So then the fact is that the only thing that I might have done right, Indu, man, I was just telling Asta before coming here that I have this problem that sometimes I talk too much.
Which is perfectly
you are
fine
all
with us.
at a great disadvantage right now.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'll make up in the next interview.
That you, as I said, pour yourself completely, so that whatever you're doing has a certain completion to it.
True. About Highway also you said that Ranbir said that you should make this next after Rockstar because he said he would make, it would make you a better director.
Yeah.
So again, two questions. One, is there a hidden message there? Why does Ranbir think you need to be a better director to begin with? And secondly, did it make you a better director?
We'll find out when I do the film with Ranbir.
Okay, he
which
will
is
tell
the
us.
next in the cards. So it's very clear why he wanted me to be a better director. He'd obviously worked with me in a film and realized that, boss, there's much to improve over here. And but so what to do to make this film be a better director, because I'm going to be working in his next film. He better make it well this time. You know? So that's his reason. Whether it made me a better director or not, I think it would have.
It would have?
I think it would have, because there was more to direct in this film, I think, than to write. It is a very underwritten film or unwritten film. There were so many scenes that were not even written when we shot them.
Okay.
In fact, there were scenes that I have written after they were shot, so that I remember what the scene was.
Oh.
And so that Arty, the editor, knows when she gets it that what the hell is this,
Right.
for it to make sense to
Yeah.
her. And the other thing is that I tried to not go with any decoration for this film as a director. In terms of, you know, camera accessories or gadgets, trolley, crane, lighting, none of that. It was just basically actor, script, camera, location, action, you know, that kind of thing.
So basic.
Very basic,
Very
very
basic.
basic. So it was actually like, you know, how you have this complicated gun and you take it firing, but there is also that time that you clean it. So
Yes.
this was more of a cleaning.
I think that's what Ranbir meant, that you needed to clean.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps,
Yeah. Okay. Now, one more highway related question is that, you know, whether it's been Jab We Met, Rockstar or Love Aaj Kal, there's always, you pack in a lot of stuff into a film. There's lots happening, there are lots of interactions, and like in Love Aaj Kal, of course, there were two totally separate stories being told. And in Highway, I noticed a lot of silences. So is this a sign of your maturity as a director? I mean, that you're using silences now? Did you do it Did you do it like set out to do it? How did that happen?
No chance of it being a sign of maturity.
Acha.
At the outset, let me say that. But this film was like that, you know. I feel that if I have the ability to listen to my story, to what it has to say really, what is in its heart, apart from the words,
Yeah.
that, oh, she gets abducted, she doesn't want to go back, fine.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to go back, but what is it that is beyond that?
Yeah.
What is the inside? So if I have the ability of listen to it, it's good. This movie wanted silence. If you know, I've got AR Rahman doing background music, but he's hardly done like most of the movie is empty like that.
Yeah.
So it was silent. And what I've realized is, Indu, that in theatres where it's playing, I spoke to this guy who's the manager of PVR Andheri. I said, any special observation, boss, about the film? So he said, people watch it, there's a lot of silence in the theatre when the movie plays. So the silence of the screen, usually, you know, one would think that you need to create some kind of noise, because otherwise people will get bored and they'll start talking and phones will start ringing, etc. But it was just the opposite of that. The silence in the movie was inspiring the silence in the theatre. So I think I could listen to the silence in the story, perhaps.
Yeah. You know, everyone, and we have a lot of people here that want to be filmmakers, and at least 98% of them have a story to tell. But can you tell us what happens after you have that story? As now a seasoned filmmaker, now a producer too, what should they do? How should they go about the story that they have to tell? How do they go about making a film?
I'm talking about this time, which is quite different from the time when that I came into the film industry.
Yes, it has
because
changed
in these
a lot.
10 years, everything has changed.
Yeah.
And it has changed in your favor. For one thing, I feel that is great about the Indian film industry is you have a story and you narrate it to various people again and again and again and again. And believe me, each narration that I've done for any movie, and I've done hundreds of them for every film, teaches me something, one thing.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
breaks something down, it develops further. After every narration, I find myself going back and changing something.
True.
So, and you don't know how much time a movie will take to really get cooked. If Highway can take, let's say, 13, 15 years, I don't even know how many.
Yeah.
You don't know. So that's one thing that's a good thing. Catch hold of people shamelessly, you know, buy them a coffee, buy them a drink, tell them the story. That will help you in your own work as a director later. How to get that? Basically, there is no broad-based answer except for the fact that reach out to your friends, through them to those people who would be looking at scripts and who would be looking at fresh talent to make movies. Don't get arrested by one idea of one person, you know, because that one producer is also talking to various directors and would-be directors. You also talk to various producers and see how it goes. And I feel that in this scenario, if you kind of push the influence of your story to various people, if there is that hard merit in that story, it'll find the power to go through. That's my belief.
That's your belief. That's what happened with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is something I've always wondered, and let me ask you, because you've had major successes. After a successful film, what happens? Do people come to you with like these bags of money? Do you get invited to every event and party that's happening? What actually happens once you make this very successful film like Jab We Met, like Rockstar and films like this?
Nobody has come with bags of money to me, Indu.
Never?
I'm ready to sell my soul. Nobody has actually.
Okay.
There was only one occasion I remember where somebody actually came to meet me for perhaps the first time, and he had a check in his hand and said, "Yeah, rakh lo, sir." And I felt like, you know, it's like it was an extortion call, as though he was taking something from me. So I just felt that I got freaked out, and of course I didn't take it. But no, there is no bags of money. I don't get invited to many, like all parties.
No?
No. I mean, there are some people who do invite me, but in a way, I don't know. I don't get invited to all parties for sure. I mean, definitely not as many parties as Anurag gets invited to.
Now, in your films, from what I've seen, is you know, you have two characters, and this is putting it very, very basically, huh?
Sure,
That's not
sure,
the whole thing.
sure.
Is that you have two people who are so different from one another, and then the way they, you know, get attracted and they influence one another, and they begin to understand the point of view of the other person. In Highway also, in Jab We Met, in Love Aaj Kal to some extent, in Sochana Tha, and yeah. So, do you think that opposites attract, or is being similar a good recipe for togetherness?
I don't have a single recipe for togetherness. I think the lack of knowledge about this is the reason why I feel compelled to go back again and again into relationships in films.
Okay.
So, I'd like to say very categorically that I have definitely no answers about relationships, and I don't even use the term LOVE because it is so confusing, and it's completely yeah, it's a yeah. I was going to use a word which I cannot use on the show, but it's a very confusing word.
Actually, in this show, you can use anything. You can say any word. Yeah.
Okay.
We are open.
All right. Don't want to hurt the sensibilities of people, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know, and I constantly perhaps engage with it only because I do not have an answer. But it's very intriguing. You know, like this love thing. For everyone, it is different. Okay. For the same person, it is different at different times, depending on who he is talking about. For the same person, vis-a-vis the same, like for one guy, vis-a-vis the same girl, at every moment of time, it is different, but it is still love. So it's really confusing. So I deal with things like affection. I understand that I want to be with this person. You know, it's clear, I want to be with her. Or that and other things which are more imminent. But a broad-based thing like love is confusing. So relationship, I really don't know anything about.
You also told me this really nice story about this great romantic gesture that you made for your friend when you went to Marine Drive, and remember the story? I'd really like if you could tell them this great romantic gesture that you made for your friend. I think it's a damn good story.
In a momentary lapse of reason, on the 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day, a friend of mine who was in Delhi and had just moved to Bombay said that my girlfriend lives in the Marine Drive hostel, and it will be so nice if you surprise her with some flowers from my side. Just tell her that Naveen sent it, and give these flowers to her. And I, in the innocence of a Hindu college boy, bought lots of flowers, as much money as I had in my pocket, and I went outside the Marine Drive, this university hostel, where there are 500 girls and 500 guys outside trying to get in. And the traffic and everybody driving looking like that, ki koi dikha dikha. And in the midst of all that, in the middle of the day, hot sun, and I'm over there with this bouquet of flowers standing over there. And there are lots of girls there from Jamshedpur. I'm from Jamshedpur, so they all recognized me. And people were, and that watchman was not letting me in. So I was trying to tell him that it's important, please let me in. There is this girl, I want to give these flowers. So he said, so he thought maybe I'm this lover. I said, no, but this is not even for me, this is for my friend. Now that is not a story that he was going to buy. But I didn't want to go away and fail at this, because I thought that my friend's life and love depended upon this. So it was a very embarrassing time, 1 hour, when I was not let in. I was holding this big bouquet of flowers outside this girl's hostel, making an ass of myself. So
that was a good story, wasn't it?
So this is what I know about romance and relationship. So please don't go by what I do.
Okay, so you mentioned Jamshedpur. So I wanted to ask you, since you come from a small town, and you were probably writing stories long before you came to Bombay.
Ji.
So, and as you said, you know, the thing to do is to tell people your stories. So who were the people there that you would tell your stories to?
You know, there was some, that's a good one. There was my English teacher, Deepa Sengupta, who I would, you know, I used to write poems even before I started writing stories. So I'd give them to her to read, and she would read very seriously and give me comments. I don't know how they were at that time, those poems, but she would do that. There were some other teachers. There was also a lot of, I remember this friend who I call Neeraj Bhaiya, he used to constantly come to listen to my stories and read my poems and all of that and give some sort of a feedback. Lot of friends. So a lot of friends and teachers basically used to do that. And then there was then other people in the family who looked at my work very dismissively.
Okay.
But that was also a great encouragement.
What do they feel now? Don't they sort of feel stupid that they looked at your work discouragingly at that time?
They still look at my work discouragingly. So I might be sitting over here as a film director who's made 5 films, but for my family, I'm still that idiot who's trying to tell a story. So they like some things, like, you know, not that they weren't encouraging. I think I'm here, or whatever I've done in my life is only because of my parents, nothing else. But it's not only parents, it was my mamu and the whole community. They would still say, why? To wo kya, wo bhag, why did she come back? If she's running in the desert, she could have gone some other way, no? There was a railway track, right? She could have ran on the railway track to the next station. You just wanted her to come back because you wanted that song over there. It's fine. So they'd say that.
Tell me, has Jab We Met left you, or are you still identified by the Jab We Met director?
No, I am identified by Jab We Met very drastically. I think the people that before Highway, I think Highway might change that, but before Highway, people used to know me basically by Jab We Met and Rockstar for some reason.
Yeah.
And there was a time I was shooting Rockstar, and I was shooting in Delhi suburban, like village type thing, near Mehrauli Gaon. And so I'm going, and there's crowd, and there's Ranbir, and so they would say, "Hey, Jab We Met, hey, Jab We Met." So then I said, "हाँ क्या? Hey, hero कौन है? Hero कौन है?" I said, रणबीर कपूर. कौन? रणबीर कपूर. क्या सलमान खान को लेना था ना? So I very often and for a long time and for a lot of people I am Jab We Met.
Okay. You know, I've been telling you for quite some time that it's this long hair of yours that gets you all the girls, actually.
What?
Long hair?
Okay.
That's attractive, and so, I mean, you haven't even cut it. So I'm beginning to think you agree with me.
I've taken your advice.
You have, right? Good. Okay. But in a recent interview, you said that in your head, you're still a short-haired guy. When did you last have this short hair?
I've grown up with short hair till socha na tha, I had short hair.
Okay.
And then I stopped cutting, so it grew. But see, I'm a middle class small town boy who had one soap with which you would rinse your head. You know, in my time that was the case, yeah. You can laugh as much as you want. Perhaps you weren't even born at the time I'm talking about. But one soap, you wash your head, you wash your body, you wash your feet, keep it on the side, rinse it off. That is what it was. There was no shampoo, there was no conditioner. We were 3 boys in the house. Even my mum started using shampoo much later.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I've grown up like that. So then there's no concept of having a bath without like washing hair in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so in my head I still am like that. But now sometimes I have this rubber band because I know it helps.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to keep it in place. You know, I wanted to ask you about Ranbir and Deepika, since you're going to be in your new film, and you've worked with both of them earlier. You described them as evolved actors when I asked you about does their relationship, will their relationship, ex-relationship, have anything to do with the film that you're making? You said they're too evolved to bother about these things. What exactly did you mean by that?
What I mean is that let's talk about Deepika first.
Okay.
You know, she has this, I've always known her as somebody who wants to explore more about this thing called performing arts, push frontiers, get involved with performance, okay? And she is wise enough to know that things go up and down in personal life, but there is also a life of the performer, and she knows that I am interested in that life and only that life.
Okay.
Only as an actor. Similar, and for Ranbir, it's far beyond that. You know, I think for him also, his personal life is never as important as the work that he does.
Okay.
So these things go up and down. These guys are very mature, much more than you would expect them to be.
Okay.
So for each one of them and for both of them, it's important that the work is good, that the film finally comes out well.
Okay, we have a question from Apurva Shah. Could you identify yourself? That is a question that won the Twitter question. Is he here? Shucks, he isn't here. Never mind. Okay. So he says that you seem to be you look like a serious filmmaker, like a sort of an art filmmaker, and yet you make these light-hearted films like Jab We Met and Love Aaj Kal. How come? He said you look very arty.
It's because of the hair.
Oh gosh, not again. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I don't wear good clothes and I look arty. I'm not trying to be arty. I don't like that association at all. Yeah, but then this is how I always have been, so I can't really help it. I'm not a very intellectual type person, as you can tell by now.
So then where does that lightheartedness come from? Are you a lighthearted person basically?
Yeah, I tend to be in private circles.
Not when so many people are around.
No, no.
But you've been making them laugh so much.
Yeah, so then, yes, I feel in a comfortable scenario, I tend to, you don't have to be boring in order to be serious and vice versa,
True, true.
I don't think I'm a serious person, and I don't know what I am. Who am I? Suddenly I remember that dialogue from Andaz Apna Apna. कि करिश्मा जो है करिश्मा नहीं रवीना है, रवीना जो है वो रवीना नहीं करिश्मा है, अंकल जो है वो अंकल नहीं कोई और है, मैं जो हूँ वो मैं हूँ या कोई और हूँ, मैं कौन हूँ?
And I think on that note, we can now throw the thing open to the audience.
Please, my favorite part.
Oh shucks, were you bored?
No, not at all.
Acha, fir theek hai. Shakti, the mic.
My name is Adiraj Bose.
Hi Adiraj.
You've made 5 films by now. So which is your most favorite and least favorite Imtiaz Ali film? That is, if you want to answer, if you don't want to.
You know what happens is, usually what happens is the farther you leave a film, the lesser favorite it becomes.
I was saying Sochana Tha is your least favorite Imtiaz Ali. That'll be hard to
Yeah, I know that. It'll break my heart to say that too. But so I won't say it.
Thank you.
Okay, just as a thing with that question is, if you could change one of your films, what would you change? I mean, like, what would you change in any one of your films?
I would change everything in all my films. Lots of things in each film of mine. Highway is fresh, so I'll figure out maybe a couple of months later what I'd like to change. But in every other film, there are many things that I'd like to change.
Now I see what Ranveer meant.
You have to pick Imtiaz.
Oh, okay. Sorry, she's asking. That green, the
girl with the green.
Girl with the green kurta and red
Hello,
flowers.
sir. Question is seriously about Sadda Haq. It's a little bit tricky political question, but still I wanted to ask it. Particularly the song Sadda Haq is shot in the picture where Kashmiris as well as some Tibetans were singing it, Sadda Haq. So I'm aware about the conflict happening in Kashmir, same with the Naga or Tibet. It's about free country of their own. So somehow do you think you are saying it, because it was little bit blurred while in this I was watching a song that free Tibet was blurred. So are you with it? I mean, I don't find you a complete nationalist person, and I'm fine.
You want me to be shot on the streets? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not a nationalist person?
I do feel, just that's what I'm confirming right now. Is it like that? Because I found it very nice picturization of that song. That's what I feel.
I have no clue what you've just asked me.
Seriously, it's
What
like...
does she mean? What does she mean?
What does she mean is that
Do I, okay.
Yes. So
Do I support?
Do you support the politics of the play?
See, I'm a film director. My purpose is to tell stories. I don't perhaps know enough about politics to make a statement, okay? And I've got a lot of friends who are Tibetans, who I love, and I understand their misfortune. Whether, like India's national stand on Tibet is that they support the autonomy of Tibet, wherein those people who are Tibetan refugees, the placards that they use is Free Tibet. Okay. What I feel is that whenever you make a song of rebellion, that is caught on by various other people who have their own agendas, who have their own missions, and that is used to fuel that revolution. Like a lot of revolutionary poetry of Faiz and various others, So what I wanted to show in the film is that this man's frustrated, desperate scream of Sadda Haq Ethirak is being caught on by people in their various struggles of life. That's what my intention was.
Thank you so much.
My name is Divyanshu.
Hi Devyanshu.
Thank you so much for all the 5 beautiful films.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
All the films have the characters which are flawed morally, in the sense, you know, by society in general, by society norms.
They reflect the maker.
I'm not saying that. So, for example, Heer and Jordan were having an extramarital affair. Alia actually, fell in love with her own kidnapper. Then in Socha Na Tha, the guy actually
Comes, rejects, and then changes his mind.
And
Yeah.
then in Love Aaj Kal, the woman actually, one day after the marriage, she tells the husband that, okay, you know, I'm not in love with you, I'm in love with some other guy.
And I'll ask an apology later.
Exactly. So I want to ask, first of all, why your thoughts on this? Why do you always make characters which are flawed in general?
Because the characters are usually drawn from my experiences about people in real life, and wherein I don't understand what morals are. Usually, morals are just following the leader, doing what the majority says is right, which is often not the best thing to do. But I found people being vulnerable. I won't say immoral, but vulnerable, not knowing or being sometimes at odds with what is expected out of them. Yes, ma'am.
I guess 2 questions, quick ones. One, I want to know what happened when you finally, after 1 hour at the hostel, you know, like, did you manage to get in? What did you tell the guy to finally get in? Because it was Valentine's Day.
See, I've been writing and doing drama ever since I was a kid. So I managed to convince the watchman. I tugged at his heartstrings, and finally he got emotionally carried away, and he carried away the flowers from my hand, and it reached the girl that it had to.
I think we should applaud that.
Yeah. There was a time I was shooting Rockstar, and so I'm going, and there's crowd, and there's Ranbir, and so they would say, "Hey, jab bhi met, hey, jab bhi met." So then I said, "हाँ क्या? Hey, hero कौन है? Hero कौन है?" I said, "Ranbir Kapoor." क्या सलमान खान को लेना था ना?